Hey camp, today we're going to talk a little bit about swim safety. We're going to talk about what a safe swimming environment has and how to stay safe. Some different swimming environments are the ocean, rivers, lakes, and pools. The ocean or beach you might have been to on vacation. It's a large body of water surrounded by sand, which is really tiny little pebbles or rocks, and it usually has things like seagulls around in the sand and fish and other animal creatures in the ocean. It sounds a little bit like this. Rivers and lakes are a lot smaller than the ocean. They often have a lot more rocks. They might have waterfalls, which is usually water falling from a higher rock to a lower bottom. And they have different types of animals, like snakes and some fish still, and other things going on. They're a lot less populated than the beach. They sound a little bit like this. Another body of water is the pool. Many of you probably have been to an indoor or outdoor pool before. They're a lot safer than these other bodies of waters. The ground is different, and there's usually a lot more people. They sound like this. So what can you do to understand your environment? Because in order to stay safe, we need to know about our environment. We can use tactile models, we can get a tour, and we can ask lots of questions. So what things should you find out? Well, we should probably know where everything is. It's important to know where the water is located, where locker rooms or bathrooms are, where the deep and shallow ends are. We want to know where the deep end is because we want to know where it is safe to dive. We should not be diving in shallow ends. We want to know where entrances and exits are and what types of entrances or exits they are. They could be ladders, steps. At a river or lake, it could be rocks or hills. We really want to know where the lifeguard station is, so we know where to turn to get help. A lifeguard station has lots of equipment that can bring us to safety or help us if there's an emergency. Some equipment they might have are a first aid kit. A first aid kit has Band-Aids and gauze and different things that can help us with minor emergencies. They might often have a rescue buoy, which is an object that is a hard plastic that is hollow. It floats and it has certain handles on it. It's also attached to a long rope and a strap at the end that is kind of like a little loop, and we call this a shoulder strap. It is put on somebody's shoulder who is maybe out too far in the ocean or is unable to swim and they're in the deep end, and it's used to bring them to safety. A ring buoy is similar to a rescue buoy, except it's in a ring shape, kind of like a donut, and is also attached to a rope, and might be a little bit of a different material, usually not quite plastic. We more often will find a rescue tube at pools and other areas. A rescue tube is the same idea as the rescue buoy and ring buoy, except it's a little bit softer, more of a foamy material. It's longer and is also attached to a shoulder strap. It's used to do the same thing as the other buoys, such as bringing people to safety. A reaching pole is another tool to help to reach people without putting the lifeguard at risk. It's a long pole that can be attached to ropes or other straps to bring people to safety. A heaving line is really just a long rope with a loop at the end that can be attached to the buoys or the reaching pole or other objects to reach someone who maybe went overboard. At many rescue stations, you'll find a backboard. A backboard is about the length of a person. It's a hard plastic with at least 3 straps so that if a person were to get hurt and we needed to keep them stable and not moving around, we could strap them on the backboard and move them to a safer area or into a vehicle that can bring them to a hospital. So along with everything that a lifeguard has, a safe swimming environment should also be cool to warm water. We don't want to find ice because that means the water is probably too cold for our bodies to stay safe while swimming. Our safe swimming environment has a firm bottom. We don't want to be sinking in the sand. We don't want there to be shells and sharp rocks because that could harm us. Our swimming environment has a marked diving area. I say marked because we need to know that it's safe. We need to know that it is at least 9 feet deep and it is clear of hazards. And often a marked diving area is made to be these things. Other bodies of waters other than the pool are often unsafe to dive in. Our safe swimming environment does not have any hazards. What are hazards? Hazards could be harmful animals such as jellyfish. It could be slippery decks or surfaces. So those slippery decks at pools that we sometimes think we can run at and we might slip and get really hurt. There might be unsafe objects in the water like rocks or coral that can harm our feet. There could be construction. We should not be going in an area where there's construction. The water might be polluted, so it's really, really dirty and it has oil or grease or other things that can harm our bodies. We should not swim in that water. Things like litter. Would you want to swim in a body of water that has trash in it? Strong currents and waves are also hazards. What are currents? Currents are continuous movement of water and they pull in one direction. Sometimes they are strong enough to also pull you. This means that it could pull you into other areas of the body of water, such as out to sea, where it is much deeper and harder to get back to safety. Waves are when the water rises from sea level and it usually crashes down. If they get too big, they can pull you under the water. So strong currents and waves become dangerous to us. Oftentimes, when there's storms, we get even stronger currents and waves. So you should never swim during a storm. Now let's do a quick activity. I'm going to name a few different things that could be hazards, and I want you to decide which one is the hazard. So your choices are a hard sand bottom, a first aid kit, a strong current, and towels. Right, the strong current is the hazard because it makes the water unsafe to swim in. Let's try one more. Sharp objects, warm water, a rescue buoy, or a tactile board. Which one is the hazard? Right, sharp objects, because they can harm our body. Now I want you to go tell a parent, a sibling, or a friend 3 things that make a swimming environment safe.